Hey, Shalom, Israel. We're going to clap it up. We're going to say clap it up. Here, the ISUPK started out at 1 West 125th Street under Commandant General Yahana. If you're not an ISUPK, you're not in the truth. And we say that. Yeah, and we mean that. And we know why we say that. Because it makes sense to say that. Because everybody who is out there doing stuff, they're not in the truth. So we are in the ISUPK. And if you're not in the ISUPK, I'm telling you, you're not in the truth. You need to find your way in here. If you want to be in the truth, if you want to learn, if you want the kind of support you need, if you want the kind of brotherhood you need to find your way in ISUPK. All right. With that being said, as I said, we're gonna get right into current events. And before as I go into my current events, I want to encourage you, as I have been in the past, for you to get out your house, plant something. Okay, so get out your apartment and plant something. Okay, so get on your balcony, get a pot, put some crops out there. At least one plant, maybe a sweet pepper plant, maybe a tomato plant. Just put it out there. You will find that you get a good size, maybe a 3 gallon pot with some decent soil that could run you the whole season. Put a little bit of black cow manure, um, topsoil, and mix it together. Put your plant in there and just water it. Okay, just water it. Make sure it's going to get some level of sunlight through the day, and that's all you need. That's it. It's a wrap. You'll have in 90 days you'll be eating off of that plant. If it's a tomato, you'll be having tomatoes. If it's sweet pepper, you'll be having sweet peppers. And if you did it right, remember, you get some manure and put it in there. It's gonna take itself for the whole season. Now, when you do it next season, you're gonna have to replenish your soil. Okay? Don't use the same soil and think it's as strong as the last soil. It doesn't work that way. So that's your encouragement to grow. And if you have a larger area, if you have a house and you have a backyard, then build a small garden. Build a garden. Get out there. Get in the soil. Get your hands in the soil, get your feet on the soil, walk out in the soil. It's beneficial to you. You may not see it yet, but you try it and you'll get back to me and tell me how beneficial it is to you. Okay? And how therapeutic it is to you. Okay, so we're going to get into our current events, what's happening in my neck of the woods, which is the Bahamas. Then we'll talk a little bit about some international current events. Then we'll jump into our topic. We're in the book of Genesis and we're just going through it. And just going through some of the questions and answering them and just reading the scriptures. And if you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any time and we could go through the questions. If I do not have the answer, I have brothers. Salakia. Salakia for that family. Those things happen from time to time. Okay, so let's get in it. Let's get on it. Let's talk about some of the things that's happening in my neck of the wood. And if something is happening in your neck of the wood that you feel you need to say something, then you could put it right in there. You could talk about it. If you have any events that you want to say something about, you got a question to ask, just feel free. Okay, so our current events for May 31st, 2026. The current events. Okay, so now we started with the government acquired the the power plant in Grand Bahama. And prior to the election, that we had, the silly season just happened, the election went through, and the return and the government that was in power won. Resoundingly, they won, so they're still in power. But in their quest for re-election, they said that there was going to be. They said that they're going to purchase the power plant, and there was going to be a 37% reduction in your power bill. Now, as a businessman, that sounded like me. That's ridiculous, right? If somebody's running a company, think about this. If somebody's running a company, you know what 37%? You know what 37% is of a reduction in your power bill? Come on, think about it. Think about this. That didn't even sound like it made sense. You believe that you're gonna buy a business, and the people who paying you $100, you're gonna tell them on the first day you'll just have to pay me $57 or something like that. Come on, maybe a little more, maybe 60, maybe around $67, something around there. My math say I ain't calculated, right? So it's a lot here for that. But the point is, are you going to tell everybody that they get 30% reduction on their bill, which they've been paying for years and are already comfortable with paying it and paying it? Listen, you ever think about getting swing? You just get swing. Yeah, you have a song in the Bahamas like that. Because the truth is, in business, nobody's going to buy a company and then give you a 37% reduction in your bill, the bill that you've been accustomed to paying over how much ever years. They're going to give you a reduction for no reason? No, that was an election ploy. Sad to say. And the reality would happen. I think there was a slight increase. I think there was a slight increase. The truth is, I didn't check mine. To tell you the truth, I didn't check mine because I didn't think. So lucky I could have checked mine and give you the accurate, but I didn't check mine because I never believed it. As a businessman, I just couldn't see how that could work at all. 37%? You think about it. If you divide 1/3, it'll be 33.5%, 33.130%, right? That's more than 1/3 of your bill. That's more than a third of your bill. So if you was paying $100, that means that's more than $33 off your bill. That's $37 basically off your bill. So I just didn't see it. But anyhow, those that believe it, put them back into power. And now they get another shot to goosey everybody. I know you all know what goosey is, right? Okay, so then now, hey, Shalom. All right, you got 2 superstars on tonight. All right, so we in our current events. Now we talk about, we mentioned earlier, I think it was a 16-year-old man that got stabbed. His stabbing now, I think he was in hospital, but now he has succumbed to that. We are definitely the Israelites, and we're stuck in this position that our forefathers helped to put us in, and we ain't doing enough to get out of it ourselves. Because what is happening is, you watch the things around. You see the stabbing there. This stabbing, the gentleman was in the hospital for a while, right? Now the next one, so the first one is there's the power company tell you that they can decrease your power bill. We fall for that. We get swing. No problem. The second current event is the stabbing death. Okay, the brother gets stabbed. He was in the hospital for a little while. I think it was 2 lives ago I mentioned it. Now he's died, right? Now we got somebody's suspected, right? It's a possible suicide. I don't know if father is included it as yet, but a partially decomposed body of a woman was found hanging in the rafters of her apartment building. After they didn't see the victim for a couple of days, they called police in this getting, finding out what happened. They didn't see the person for a couple of days. The person was, they say it's alleged that the person was depressed. I ask you this question. Do you realize that you're still in slavery? Because right now, at the end of your, let's say you get paid, let's say you get paid every month. At the end of the pay, at the end of the month, can you safely say you can put away a quarter of your paycheck? A quarter that you don't have to spend. I don't think you can. Think about it. I don't think you can. I think that all of the money which you have, that's already earmarked for something. Even if it's an ASU, and this is what we do in the Bahamas, right? Even if it's an ASU, and then that ASU is done earmarked for supplement that come. So we yet under the oppression where our forefathers allow us to be because of the bad choices and the rejection of the covenant that we should have done, because we would have been on the top, not at the bottom. Look at look at other nationalities in different countries, because you can't see them here. You even ain't gonna see them in the Bahamas. You ain't gonna see the other nationalities in the Bahamas. You ain't gonna see them, because truth be told, the few different nationalities that live in the Bahamas, you hardly see them. Now you will see the dark skinned nationalities here. You see some of the Haitians, right? The Levites. You'll see them. You may see, but of course, the Chinese can have stores, so you'll see them mainly in New Providence, and some they'll sprinkle in Grand Bahama, but nothing to talk about. You'll see them. Oh, Salakia. Bye. Hey, Shalom. So just stand by. Let me send an invite. Let me send another invite. See if I could get them. As I invite the brothers on to see what's going on. Let me see if I can send. So just stand by for a minute. Let's see. Okay. Need power there. All right. So I get that? All right. So we're back. All right. Now, just talking about, if you think about your life though, and think about the things that you go through on a daily basis. Think about all the things that you go and read Deuteronomy chapter 28. After the 15th verse, did you go and read those things and see how a lot of the things that we suffer is actually in Deuteronomy chapter 28 after the 15th verse? See all the curses that come upon us because of the forefathers that they did not hold up to the commandments that the Lord had given. If you see that, you'll understand it be yet right direct, right smack dab, right in the middle of our slavery. When you get paid, you can't afford to keep money. You know why? Because you're yet a slave. It has come upon you so subtly that we don't even recognize it. The taxes, of course, we get the VAT. The taxes also show up in the duty. You might see the duty getting paid, but you go into a store to buy an item, and the duty is added on that item, and you purchase an item. You buy a toaster, you buy a coffee maker, the duty is on that item. That's a tax. You don't see it, but it's there. At the end of the day, when you get paid, if you get paid on Friday, let's say you get $600 on Friday, $500 of them dollars, let's say $450 of them dollars going on your bills. Some of them going on some money which you borrow. Or the truth is, you can thank the person which you borrow the money from and give them a portion of that, because you don't want to give it to them because you can be broke if you pay all the money which you borrow. And so you give away that, you try and pay some of your bills, but you can't, because just the situation we're in, you always can be at a disadvantage. On a negative, you will then end up with some of the monies that you made, but at the end of the month, you cannot put a third of your money in the bank and say that you don't have to touch it. You tell me if you could put a third. Well, not even a third. Tell me if you could put a quarter of your earnings in the bank and not have to touch it at the end of the month. Tell me that. If you can, tell me. I don't believe you can. I don't believe most people are in that position. We we do have some people that may be in that position, but the majority of people are not there. They can't afford to put money in the bank and leave it. They just can't. They can't because their bills are always running behind them. Seriously, their bills is just running behind them. And not only running behind them, overtaking them. That's what the curse say. These curses shall overtake you. And that's what's happening to us. The curses are overtaking us. But guess what? Because you've been in it so long, you don't even recognize that it's a curse. You don't even recognize. You've been so accustomed to giving everybody else your money, and you don't even realize it. You've been doing that so long, it becomes a part of your. You get so comfortable at the end of the week, you know you can pay out all your bills and you ain't gonna have no money left, but you can be happy. Isn't that right? The people who you're giving the money to, all they're doing is sitting down and counting your money. All right. Anyway, I didn't digress. I talking about how we yet in our slavery, okay? But the next one I was talking about, the first one I was talking about first. Let me just jump back. I talk about the possible deduction with the government after purchasing the power company said they were to give and they didn't give it. Maybe you might get a reduction. If you did, let me know. Because most people are saying their power bill was increased, even if it's only slightly. Let me talk about the starving debt. And again, starving, getting into problems and getting into fights and trying to, and then the suicide, which is the third one. Again, then we have a murder accused. His brother he evaded the law for 7 months. But guess what? He did the crime. The law can eventually catch up on you. Because at any given time, as long as you're invisible, that's fine, But just something happens. If you are running away from the law, just something happened and they need your name. Buddy, you in it. Think about this. I'll give you an example. Remember the story about the guy with the plane crash? And I forget the name. Sorry. I don't need the name. The guy with the plane crash. When the plane crashed and the American Coast Guard picked them up. What happens? The first thing the American Coast Guard does when they pick you up, they get your name, bro. They put your name on that computer. And when they put his name on that computer, that must bring bread. Bing, 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 bing. Don't let him go. Don't let him go. That's it. And that's the same thing happened with the police too. Here, when they get your name, they put it in the system. And if you have tickets, you got bench warrant, they're not letting you go. Okay, so all I'm saying is crime does not pay. Don't do the crime. Follow the laws. Yes, the laws are in place. They're not easy. They're difficult because they're designed to keep you oppressed. Okay, they keep you oppressed. Okay, so we have the murder accused. He ran away for a good while. Salakia. Salakia. I'd like to turn this phone off for some time. I can't do it. Yeah, we yet smack dab in our slavery. And because we've been in it so long, we become accustomed. We feel like at the end of the day, some people just say, I'm happy I'm able to pay all of my bills. That's it. They're happy they can pay all their bills. You're probably in the same predicament. You're happy you can pay all your bills. And sometimes you just don't have it. So crime does not pay. Come and ask you, because we're going to teach you how to do the right thing. It's not always easy. But let me tell you this, over time, the right thing pays off ever so slowly. Just like how you could put a frog inside of water and continue to heat it up, and the frog continue to adjust his body temperature for the oncoming water, and he'll stay in there and die until he boils because he continued to adjust his body temperature. How does it get? The same way, if you start to do the right thing, the Lord will make things work out slowly, slowly, slowly for you. In so much that in the reverse of the frog getting heat up, you will start realizing, hey, guess what? I ain't gonna spend all of my money this week. Even I could keep $20 the next week. That's what the Lord will do for you. He will do it for you. But you got to come and learn how to do that. All right? And if it's $20, you say, hey, I got this $100, I didn't even have to spend this. That's what he does. All right? Now, again, all of us are still in our slavery. The former prime minister, premier, the story with the premier of Turkey Island, what they're going through and all that stuff. But he finally can get his time in to spend incarcerated. He's gonna serve 4 years, and I think that's light. You're gonna serve 4 years for all corruption and them things that happening in Turks and Caicos, right? So those are the things that happen. Turks and Caicos is almost like the Bahamas. It's so close. Times before it used to be, it's a part of the Bahamas. Okay, so now, if you're gonna say negative things that you cannot substantiate, if you're gonna call somebody like a thief, right? You can call somebody a thief. You need to have some information that the people are stealing. And yet, it's so safe to say it's alleged that Brother Kashka was involved with some shady business. Listen, this government, this story now, right? The government is filing a claim with IRCA. That's our Bahamian authority in the news and the media and all that stuff. Because they had this business person came out and make allegations about sitting members of parliament and probably the very top of our government chain. It's alleged that they was involved in some stuff. But I don't know if they use the word alleged, because the whole idea is, if you don't know that something happened, all right, if you think I steal something, say it's alleged that Akashka stole this thing. When you say it's alleged, then I can't say you stole it. That you say that I stole it. All you say, you believe I stole it, but you ain't sure. So when you're going to make accusations, especially to the head of the country, listen, bro, you got to be smarter than that. So apparently, there's going to be a court case and some other stuff that's going to happen. So that the people might even be censored and they can't be on the air. They might have to pay a fine and all this stuff. Just say it's alleged. Come on. Don't be that stupid. That's how you save yourself. And we still on our current events, right? Now, we go a little bit more international or national. Cuba is international, but close enough to the Bahamas that it's almost like a national thing. Cuba now is going, I guess, in the next level of crisis. They lose power, now they're losing water, right? This is because you have one Agent Orange, the leader of the what they call the free world, the leader of the free world. He decides that, hey, well, Cuba, they can't defend themselves. I'll take it. This is what's happening. Cuba has been under embargo now from my was a baby. The Cubans have always fought this thing, but for some reason, here of late, this is ramped up. It's ramped up so much that they have no power, they have no fuel. Now they have problems with water. What else could you do to a country? Okay, so that's the problem. But the Cuban people, they are not giving in. They're saying that they're gonna hold up. They're gonna try and keep that sovereign nation the way it is, and not give in to Agent Orange. He's code name for the leader of the free world, Agent Orange. That's our code name for him. Yes, shalom. Okay, so now NATO members have a problem with Russia after the drone attack into Romania. You see, Romania is part of what's going on. Romania is part of NATO. So now we got these European countries now start getting tick off with the Russians, because now you say, listen, y'all even ain't fooling with the Ukrainians, now y'all fooling with Romania. What's going on? Wars and rumors of wars. These are happening. If you don't see the signs at the times that they're coming to the end, you have to rethink your own mind. All right? Some other stuff that's going on. We don't care about the Africans that much, but anyway, the Kenyans, they got Kenyans arrested. Some some students, right? Students are even around the world. These may be Israelites, it may not. But even around the world, we got people involved in school fires and rebellion and things like that. It just shows how much turmoil is going on around the world. This place is coming to an end. This current government has not been able to govern the world the best. The Edomites have not been able to govern the world. This is why Christ must return. I know you don't understand that, but this new heaven and new earth when it comes, it only means that this is what Christ is going to come and take charge. And nobody can give it to him. He can take it with the sword. You know, the scripture says blood will be flowing up to the bridle. Oh, Salah here. Blood will be flowing up to the bridle of the horses. So that's how much blood is going to be spilled. Just because when Christ comes, nobody's going to actually give up. He's going to have to take it. All right. What Trump say? That's what Trump said. Trump said with Cuba, not and even with the oil tanker. They say, well, what you can do with the oil tanker? Trump said, oh, we can just take it. We can just take it. You can just take the people's oil tanker full of oil. Yeah, we just can take it. So they just took that, and then with Cuba, they say, oh yeah, we can take Cuba. They can't defend themselves. We just take it. And you know, it's just like a big child. They do the free work. Hey, I call his name though, by the way. It's alleged. It's alleged that he said that. All right. It's a lie here. All right. So, okay. So, again, the world awaits Agent Orange awaits a decision on Iran ceasefire. Because as far as he concerned, Iran ain't got nothing to negotiate with. They negotiating on fumes. But guess what? Agent Orange is totally frightening them. Because if he wasn't, he would have done overrun them long time. But he's careful. He ain't that fool. They say Bohog know where to rub their skin. Yeah, so they know well where to rub their skin. And they're not going to rub their skin up against the Iranians. Because they may have something in store that nobody want to see happen. So not here for that. But we'll see how it goes. Let's see what Agent Orange does. Okay, so last one on our current events is the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization. The director says that the international community must move fast to stop the Ebola from spreading. Listen, this Ebola in the safety arena, I call this Ebola the big boy on the block. Because if this boy get out of hand and out of control, COVID is a joke to him. COVID is a joke to this brother. This brother's wife. I mean, you would hear about the Black Plague when people got wiped out some years ago. That's the kind of stuff that will happen if Ebola get out of control and unchecked, and it gets spread among the community where there's a lot of people. You don't want to see that. You don't. And most of the time, people take these things so lightly, but the Ebola is nothing to play with. And so it's a luck here for me. It's a luck here for that. Someone's at the door. Okay, so Ebola being a serious threat, you know, Ebola being a serious threat for the countries to be aware of, because if it gets out of control, a lot of people will die. It's no joke. A lot of people will die. Okay, so we're gonna jump into our lesson for the night. And our lesson we're gonna be talking about. We're in the book of Genesis. And if you have any questions, please just open up your mic and just ask the question even before you get into the lesson. Got any questions? And I see somebody put something in the chat, but that don't seem to be a question in the comments. Okay, so we're gonna get into we are in the book of Genesis. So we read all the way from Genesis, the first chapter. We basically talked about it as we got into it, and we're gonna do a little bit more of the just continuing on. I know let me just do a quick. Okay, I don't think it was as far as 11. Let me see if I can find out where we were. Slovakia. Could I remember exactly which chapter we were at? Because I think we might have been.
I believe we completed 6.
All right. Let's see what the end of 6 said. Okay, so Shalom. Okay, I just read the end of 6 and then we'll jump on to 7. I'll do a quick little recap. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 6. And I'll read the 21st and the 22nd. And take thou unto thee of all foods that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah, according that all that God commanded him, so did he. And of course, we say this is what happened when Noah did as the Lord said, and he went into the ark and took. One of the things that came out in our teaching was he took 7 clean and 2 unclean. And they break it down. The reason why he took 7 clean animals, because if they needed to eat some animals, they only could eat the clean animals and not the unclean animals. And so that's why he took 7 clean and 2 unclean. And a lot of times people don't even realize that is what was taken into the ark. But that was the reason why. Okay? Now, okay. So we go to Genesis chapter 7. This is the book of Genesis chapter 7 and verse 1. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. And every clean beast that thou shalt take to thee by 7, the male and his female, and the beasts of that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. So this is the begin. So this is where it breaks it down and tell you, if you just read that with me, you'll see the clean and unclean. And so when people talk about clean and unclean, it's lacking for me. That's lacking for me for a minute. Let me see something. Hold on, I need to do something for. That's a quick question. Quick minute here. So lucky, let's stand by for me for 2 minutes. Hey, so lucky for that. That's when you don't have no security, you don't have no help. But we'll grow soon. We'll have help to do everything. So when I have to have there, somebody will pick up the there. Okay, so lucky for that. Now we're gonna continue. Like I said, if you have a question on what I'm reading, just stop me at that point. And rereading this is the story now about the flood. And this is the book of Genesis chapter 7 and verse 3. of fowls also of the air by sevens, that male and female, to keep the seed alive upon the face of all the earth. For yet 7 days I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 and 4 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy off the face of the earth. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him, into the ark, because of the waters of the flood. Of clean beasts, and beasts that are not clean, and of fowls, and of everything that creepeth upon the earth, there went into two and two unto Noah into the ark, male and female, as God commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth, and 600 in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month of the 17th day of the month, the same day when all the fountains of the great deep broke up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the verse 13, in the self same day entered Noah, and Shem, and Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons were with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all that creepeth upon, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird after every sort. Verse 15. And they went into Noah, they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. This is the verse 16. I wish I could jump down a little bit of this, because we just talking about the animals entered. I want to go to we may have to jump back if we get some questions on the Noah story, because we may have to look at things like the generation. Okay, so we jump to Genesis chapter 8. And this way, the Genesis chapter 8 and verse 1. And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the water assuaged. The fountains also of the deep, and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of the 150 day, the waters were abated, and the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mount of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month, and in the 10th month of the first day of the month were the top of the mountain seen. So we see the waters abated. Let's see. I want to get where we get out of the ark. I say we, because it causes me to associate with Noah, and I suggest you do also, because whatever happens back then, it happened to our forefather. We come from the Shemites, so you see, you have Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So we will come from the lineage of Shem. Okay, so I want to read this Genesis chapter 8, and go all the way down to the 20th verse. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offering on the altar. Sometimes you think about whether the law was in place, But think about this. This same verse makes you understand there was the law of clean and unclean. And remember now, in the Old Testament, who used to eat the offering? The priests. So the priests only could eat clean animals. And this is where the all of this started all the way in Genesis. The law did not just start somewhere in when the New Testament came about. All right, so they were clean animals. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. It's a lie here. That's what the Lord said, of man, neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. And Genesis chapter 9, verse 1. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and every fowl of the air, and upon everything that moveth upon the earth, upon the fish of the sea. Unto your hands are they delivered. So we see God, we see the ark rested, and then let me see if I can see where God the separation. I want to talk a little bit about something that comes up from time to time. Where Genesis chapter 9 and verse, let me see, let me go back to that. And let's see. I think the 22nd, chapter 9 and 22. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces was backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah woke from his wine and knew that what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem and Canaan shall be his servant. Blessed be Salakia. Genesis chapter 9 and verse 26. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant.
Salakia, sir.
Tell me that.
Why did Noah curse Canaan and not, who was it? No, not his son. Why was that done? Why didn't he curse Ham himself and not? Why did he curse Canaan instead of Ham?
I am not 100% sure. I've not heard the breakdown on that. I have to ask that question. Why was? Because he did not curse who saw his nakedness. He cursed his son. And so I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. I've not heard that. I don't recall that breakdown so far. That's something I'll have to ask. But Salakia and Tawada for that. Please record that so I can ask that question and we'll get the proper breakdown on that. Okay, so yes, Canaan shall be his servant. And I guess what we have the group called the Canaanites. And everybody is from an individual man. The lineage go on. Even the Israelites come from Israel. The Canaanites come from Canaan. The Hamites come from Ham. I'm not certain the significance in doing that, but I'll have to ask one of the men above me, see if I can get a proper breakdown from that. Okay, so what happened in that case was when after the flood and Noah get drunk, son come and see his and I've heard some spookiness about this, about what the son did. The son didn't do anything other than seeing his father's nakedness. Because the Bible said that you don't need to be looking upon the nakedness of your brother and of your sister. Looking upon the nakedness is just simply seeing them naked. All right? Just you don't need to see them naked. They need to be clothed. You don't need to see them naked. That's simple. Not adding anything onto it. Do not look upon the nakedness of your narrow skins. Teach them how to value nakedness. Teach them how to value all of those intimacy, and that's where it starts. If you teach them to be so relaxed around naked people, what happens? They become very accustomed to nakedness, and they don't see a problem with it. Okay, so that's what we want to do. We want to make sure we be careful with that. Okay, so we're gonna move on a little further. I'm gonna get to where I think it may be all the way across there. Slovakia. Just give me a second. Okay, let's move on. We're still in trying to get back to my Bible verse that I'm reading. All right, so Genesis chapter 11, we go to that. Because everything up to that is caused after the flood. Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth went through the flood. They came in on the other side of the flood. Genesis chapter 11, and the whole earth was one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain of the land of Shinar and dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered about upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down and to see the city and the tower, which the children of men build. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from the face, tents upon the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. So what we see here, we talk about the Tower of Babel, and this is actually the scriptures with what support the whole thought of. If you notice that it said that after the flood, everybody was of one language. As they continue, as they multiply, mind you, the flood was at a few chapters ago, and what this is saying now, as people begin to multiply on the earth again. Obviously, the story of the flood was again rehearsed to them over and over again, so they knew about the flood. So they say, listen, we can build us a city, we can build a tower. That's going to reach all the way up. Now, some even speculate that they're trying to build this tower to reach God. Now, we know, if I recall, it's alleged that I saw a document with say the base of the tower was like a mile. All right. I think I remember that. The base of the tower was like a mile. So with a tower that large, man has always thought he could have some kind of I guess something to try and approach God. This is what the commentaries would have said that the man of Shinar was trying, and of course, because we see what happens, it seems like it might have been the case, because what happened is, if you see what they was building this tower, and they may have been actually building this tower to try and check the Most High. The Most High had destroyed every living creature, and I guess they said in Genesis chapter 11 and verse 1, and it came to pass as they journeyed from east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, check this out, go to, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. They had bricks for stone and slime for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So this is what they're saying. They say, let us get together, build here and stay here, and so that we will not be scattered. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower. And the Lord said, behold, the people are one. They have one language. And then what happened? The Lord came in the 7th verse, go to, let us go, and then confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Why would the Lord do that? I mean, some of the commentaries did say that they were trying to build a city to go and question God, ask God, why you do that to our forefathers? Now, truly, we know that they were not able to reach the presence of God by building a tower. But I guess just the mere fact that they thought that they could do it, the Lord stepped in and showed them that He's all powerful. That's why He's the Most High. Okay, so like here we up on our 8 o'clock hour. We go a little longer as we go into this. We want to get a little bit into the book of Genesis. Now this is the tower. The Lord now said that they're gonna confound. He said, let us go and confound their language. The Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And the Lord said, behold, the people are one. Let's go down further. Go down to the 8th verse. No, go to, well, yes, the 8th verse. So the Lord scattered them abroad from the tents upon the face of all the earth, and they left off building the city. So after He confounded them and everybody couldn't understand one another's language, they had to leave. They had to find the group of them that sound alike and push out. I was telling the children, say, push out. Okay, so after they were confounded, after languages were changed, they then try to find who's speaking the same language they're speaking. Let's push out, because these are the people they ain't understanding us. So that's how the Lord deal with them. Let's push out. Okay, so that's after their language was confounded, that's what they did. They left off and so the Lord was the one who separated them by that fact. The scriptures actually bear it out. I don't have the verse right here, where the Lord actually separated them. Even if you didn't see the scripture, you know the fact that their languages was all confounded. Nobody could understand each other. So what they did, like I said, they tried to find languages and they push out. This is the the Tower of Babel. We don't understand how significant these things are. And we come into the close, the end, because we normally run for like from 7 to 8. We come in there. If you have any questions, you need to come off the mic, ask your questions, or if you've got a question, put it in the comment. The Tower of Babel. The Lord didn't want the children of Israel after the flood. That's what they did. They decided they can build a city and a tower. The Lord confounded them. The Lord disturbed all their languages so they couldn't understand. So now they were scattered. They were automatic. They were scattered because they found who spoke their language and they left. They left on different paths. Now it didn't say anything about changing their physical makeup, how they look physically. It didn't say anything about that, but it did say that the Lord changed their language. All right, so they couldn't understand each other. Now the next thing after, I guess the next.
Salakia, sir. Excuse me. I
Right.
think I missed a little something.
Right.
Can you tell me what was the purpose of them building the tower? I think I must have missed that. My computer went out for a bit.
Okay. Okay, let's go back to Genesis 11 and 1. The whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from east, that they found the plain of the land of Shinar and dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly, that they may be brick for stone and slime for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. That's why they build that. They say, let in the 4th verse, that's why they built it. They say, least we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. That's why they build the city. And the tower. They built the tower and the city. And then because they didn't want to be scattered. And let me see if they have another reason for the tower itself. Now they say the tower who will reach up to heaven. And there's some speculation when they say they build the tower that reach up to heaven. And this is right in here. Some commentaries were saying that they was actually wanted to get up into heaven to ask the Lord why he flood the earth and kill everybody. It's alleged. Okay, that's not what I'm teaching. Okay, but they built the tower to try and stay together. I think the Lord wanted them to be separated.
Okay, so this came as a result then of the flood. After the
Yeah,
flood, they didn't want to
after
be scattered.
can't. And of course, men were beginning to multiply in large numbers, but they didn't want to be scattered.
To water.
I understand. Okay, so let me see if anything else in that. I think that's the basic thing what happened. They didn't want to be scattered, and they tried their best to stay together. As the numbers was increasing, that was one of the things. Now, let's go to, but in Genesis, let me see if I can introduce Abraham. Because in Genesis, we see Abraham start to come into the picture. And Abraham is a really, really important character in the whole Israelite, the whole world movement. Genesis chapter 11 and verse 24. And Noah lived 920 years and begot Terah. And Noah lived after he begot Terah 119 years and begot sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram. Right? Noah and Haram. That's where they wanted to get to. So we see Noah's son was Terah's son was Abraham. Bam. So Noah's son You know, these things, when you look at this, sometimes you think it's kind of far removed, but it's not as far removed as you think about it. Some of these, so Noah would have had Terah, and so more than likely, Abraham might have been content because, of course, Terah is Abraham's father. It was quite, I mean, you had to do the maths to see, but it might have been quite possible that Noah might have been. Hold on, let me see if this is the same. No, am I mixing up a word here? So lack here for that. Let me double check this. No. Let me see if I could do that. Let me see if I could do the genealogy to see how far it is from Noah to Abraham. I think it might be more generations than just 3, because I was looking at just 3. But I think it's going to be like more like 9 or possibly 10 generations between Noah and Abraham. But there is a direct generation between Noah and Abraham. But so like I wouldn't find that now. But that's homework. Look for the direct and I mean everything is Googleable these days, right? The direct relation between Noah and Abraham. I think it may be 9 or 10 generations. But the important thing is I just wanted to make the connection between Noah and the fact that Noah and everything that, because the laws came down through oral tradition. That means that the fathers told the children the laws until it was written down, until Moses. Other than that, it was all just oral. It was just telling you what the laws was. And even and as Moses came into the picture, not only was the laws written down, also the government. This is something that you don't think about. The government was put in place to take care of the law. When you driving around the corner and you say the law coming, what that mean? You say that's the police coming. So in some instances with the law, when you see the law, it actually talks about the people who can carry the punishment of the law. That's a discussion for another time. And that's a deep one. Because there are places and times when the punishment of the law is carried out by the law. I hope you get that one. The punishment of the law is carried out by the law. If I tell you when you get a speeding ticket, the law coming to pick you up, you will understand that. So if I tell you if you break the law coming to pick you up, you should understand that. But now we don't understand that because we try to make everything so difficult to understand. But in some cases, when they talk about the law, it's talking about the people who come in and jack you up for breaking the law. Okay, it's a lucky for that. All right, so a few minutes over, and we'll stick a pin there into Genesis and at the 11th chapter, because we want to talk a little bit about we can talk a little bit about the Tower of Babel, and we talk around that, and because right now it's because people are multiplying on the earth, and they are building cities. They're being scattered. They're building cities. They're building cultures. They are building religion. They're doing all of these things on the earth. And so with all these things being done on the earth, cultures are evolving, customs are evolving, and people are evolving. So as we try and figure out how this, because it's going to be very important for you to connect these things all the way back to Adam. Get Adam, and then we'll have, I guess, the next critical person will be Noah, and the next critical person after that will be Abraham. So it's good that we could connect these people together because we know where, and of course we see all the way back in the garden, the laws were being practiced. We see during Noah's time, the laws being practiced. We can see during Abraham's time, the laws being practiced. Then you got Isaac, then you got Jacob, then you got the 12 tribes of Israel. Bam! Guess what? That's us. It's not as far removed as you think. Now, there's a lot of time and a lot of stuff happening between there. But again, We can go through it slow. Hopefully, we'll be able to strengthen you as you continue to watch these lives. And if you have any questions, please feel free. Send me an email, ISUBK or put it in the chat if you want to come on the live. And now there are some protocols you have to remember. If you're female, you have to have your head covered and dress moderately. We definitely want to see no cleavage on the live. Okay, I'm only telling you what the man above me make me understand. Men, it's like me. I have to have a headpiece, right? Now my head is not covered because this headpiece have an opening where what they say your mole, where the children mole is normally be, so that's open. Women heads have to be covered because the men of their heads, you disrespect and dishonor your head if you come on with your head uncovered. Okay, men heads have to be uncovered. Salakia. Women head have to be covered. Okay, so Salakia for that. All right, so with that, we're gonna wrap it up right there, and then we'll get back for our next class. We'll continue in the book of Genesis because it's enlightening. Hopefully we can draw some other people in to learn about the scriptures as we go through. We talk about these books, we talk about these scriptures, and hopefully we'll give people the strength to be able to hold on and act in the absence of anybody else. You don't need the police to cause you to do the right thing. You need to do the right thing when the police is not there, so when the police is there, you'll be right. Okay? A lot of y'all will not want to accept that. But you have to do the right thing when you're alone, because when you get under the microscope, the right thing have to prevail. And that's how we do it in ISUPK. So with that, these are the security announcement. We are the ISUPK, started out at 1 West 125th Street under commanding General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After the 6 months period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this Numbers 18:21, Malachi 8, Salakia, Malachi 3, 8 through 10. It means tenth in the Hebrew and is pronounced Ma'ashura. 10% of every penny of any increase that the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund. Salakia, we should priest fund. There's no mandatory amount for priests. There's no free will offering. Any amount you'd like to give, you can give. We should be at the end of the first fruit celebration this very evening, the 31st of May. Remind Akim and Akwakim to check the social media, YSUBK.com and YouTube. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, he should start wearing all black, which include black boots, shirt, pants, headbands, and scarf. And with that, we say, to the brother, we say, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. And to the sister, we say, Yahweh Shema Alatam Bahashim Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Shema Alatam Bahashim Yahweh Shai.
And that we say, Shalom.
Shalom.